Good morning, everyone. So good to have you join us today. Thank you all so much for your commitment so far. As stated earlier, we're going to be giving an extra 5 minutes so we can have other entrepreneurs join in to participate in today's session. So we will be starting the session officially at 11:05. So please pardon us, pardon your fellow entrepreneurs as well, so they can all participate in today's session. So at 11:05, we will kickstart our session for today. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. So good to have you all join us today. Good morning. For those just coming on board, today, welcome once again to SMEDAN Entrepreneurship Program. And today we'll be having our sales session with our facilitator already here to share some of the insights he has prepared for us today regarding sales. So thank you all so much for your commitment so far. Again, just before we go ahead, I'm going to be giving a brief introduction, of course, of our facilitator, so you know who he is and what he does, and just so you can get yourself, acquainted with our facilitator for today. So please just give me a minute. So today we'll be having Mr. Tabashima Ayede. He is a sales consultant with Aberdeen Business Consulting with an LLM, LLB, and diploma in business management. Tabashima Ayede is a business consultant who helps bring in revenue for business owners struggling with customer interactions. He does this through simple conversation frameworks that anyone can use right away for results. He can be found on his weekly Spotify podcast, Sales for the Nigerian Business Person. Please help welcome our facilitator for today, Mr. Tabashima Ayede. Good morning.
Hello. Hey, good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Tabashima.
Okay.
So good to have you.
Okay. Thank you.
And the
Yeah,
floor
it's a
now.
pleasure to be back. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to see, I want to be sure that the audio and the video is clear. So if you can hear me, please just drop a message in the chat. It can be a wave or you just say audio clear, video clear, whatever. I just want to be sure there are no problems before we begin. Okay, all right, loud and clear. Okay, good. It looks like there's no problem with audio. Okay, all right. Before we begin, I just got a notification. It says that the meeting is being recorded. So just so that everyone is clear about that, just in case during the discussions, you don't want any private information that is going to be living out there on the internet. So, okay, so let's begin. We have an hour scheduled, so let's just head straight into it. Now, at different points during our discussion, I'm going to be looking away. Don't worry when that happens, because what I'm doing is I'm either making notes of questions that people are asking, because there are people that have already started asking questions already. That's why we were chatting, waiting for other people to begin. Some people had questions on collaboration. Somebody had a question on elevator pitches, things like that. So I'm making a note of these sorts of things so I can refer to them later on in the question and answer session. And then also paying attention in the chat, just so that if there's anything I need clarification on, people should let me know. So feel free to drop feedback in the chat as we're going along. Don't worry, you're not going to distract me. You can ask questions at any point. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about having the perfect sales process. Now, the reason why we're talking about the perfect sales process today is because we're all in sales. I have been looking at the industries and the industries that people are involved in, and this is a really varied background. We have people from different parts of the federation. I've seen Abuja, Lagos, Kogi, Ogun. We have people who who produce table water. Uzodima is into kidwear. Austin is into computers. Bilkisi is into skincare. There's food produce. There's cleaning. There's natural hair. There's all kinds of things. So whether hardware, software, beauty, manufacturing, everybody is here. So no matter what it is that we're involved in, we are all sales people, or we're all marketers, whatever it is that you want to call it. The reason why I want to stress that today is because a lot of people, especially we Nigerians, we always think of ourselves with our credentials first. So if you're someone that has studied law, like I did back in my university days, you like to go around saying that you are a barrister, you are a lawyer. And I've noticed that lots of people here are introducing themselves as, okay, like Ifoma, for instance, she says she's a fashion designer. Let's see, what else? Ifoma says she's a fashion designer. Anyway, bottom line is we like to introduce ourselves by our credentials. That is not a problem. But then it makes us forget the fact that The primary purpose of having a business is to create a customer or to look for customers. The reason why that is the case is because if we don't have a customer, then there is nothing to practice our business over. So, for those of you who are involved in skincare, if you do not chase down customers, if you do not create customers, if you do not look for customers, all the skincare that you're manufacturing, there's nobody's skin to make beautiful. For those of us here who are photographers, if you do not create a customer, there's nobody on which you're going to exercise your Photoshop skills or your photography skills. So the most foundational thing that we can do in a business is to create a customer first. Now, according to Peter Drucker, who is a management consultant, the only way that we can create a customer is by two very important business functions. Number one is the marketing function. Number two is innovation. Now, the marketing function is concerned with how do I make people know that the product that I have or the service that I have, how do I make the wider world know that it exists? Because before people buy from us, they have to know us, they have to like us, they have to trust us before they can buy with us. So marketing tries to solve those problems, the know, like, and trust problems that we all talk about. Then the second business function is innovation, which is trying to innovate in your business delivery and also sometimes to innovate in how you create your product or your service. So those are two primary functions. And that's the reason why we're talking today about the perfect sales process, because we are all salespeople. Now, there's some people here who are going to argue with me and not agree, but that's fine. It might take a while, but eventually, the longer you stay in business, especially for those of you who are just starting a year or maybe 3 years in business, eventually you see that we are all salespeople. Sorry, Austin or Gasa, looks like you're having some problems. The way you're waving, if you're trying to signal my attention, just use the chat function and whatever question you have, I will respond to. Or if it's that the video is not clear or is that it's cutting away, then let me know so that if I have to switch internet over here, I'll do that. Okay. Yes. So we're talking about the perfect sales process. The reason why we should do that is because we are all sales. We're all salespeople. Now, is there such a thing as the perfect sales process? The answer is yes. I know that some people might be skeptical because, of course, whenever we hear about anything, sorry, one moment. Let me check the chats. Okay, all right, no problem. I thought somebody was trying to call my attention to something. It's just more people joining. So for those of you who are joining now, welcome. You haven't missed much. I just introduced, there was just an introduction, and then I also introduced the topic that we're going to be talking about, the perfect sales process. And the reason why we're talking about the perfect sales process is because we are all salespeople and it's part of the primary business function. So the answer to the question, yes, there's a perfect sales process, and it involves many stages. But the stages that I want to talk about this morning are the foundational. Okay, all right, no problem. So somebody has put another question here, that how can you create sales when location seems to be a hindrance? Okay, let me make a note of that so that we'll respond to it in the question and answer session. One moment, let me write that down. So creating sales, and then location is a hindrance. Okay, all right. So thank you for the question, Miss Joy. So I will address that in the question and answer session. Okay, yes. So there's a perfect sales framework, and it involves lots of stages. But I want to talk about the 3 stages that a lot of us do not know when we start in our business, because everybody knows about negotiation, everybody knows about pricing, and everybody knows about closing. So I'm not going to talk about those today. I'm going to talk about the aspects of the sales that people are not aware of. Oh, okay. Keonye has asked for me to share slides. There's not going to be any slides for this presentation because we are having a conversation here. I'm going to send some materials to Light later on, and it's going to be audio format. It's a podcast recording, and it's going to share all the things that we spoke about today. So it's so don't worry. So don't worry about that. Oh, Jamiu, you're saying that we should. No, don't worry, Mr. Jamiu. I am the one who is chairing the session now. So don't worry. Anybody who has questions can ask questions. So that's fine. So there's not going to be any slides because I'm going to talk briefly and then we're going to go into question and answer. So there's going to be audio. There's going to be audio podcast that is going to be sent to Light, and she's going to share it to people. I'm assuming you guys have a WhatsApp group, so it'll be in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so let's go straight to it. So like I said, everybody knows about negotiation. Everybody knows about pricing. Everybody knows about closing. So I'm not going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about three things that are fundamental to the sales process. Because if you miss these three, there's no point in talking pricing. If you miss these three, there's no point in negotiating. You're negotiating a deal that is not going to close. And if you miss these three, there is no point in trying to close anyone on the sale because the sale is not going to close. And these are the three most important things that you should be paying attention to. Number one is called prospecting. And let me put it down here in the chat for those people who have been asking for sharing. Prospecting. Okay, so prospecting, that is the technical word in sales. But now this is what prospecting means. Prospecting is the stage of the sale where we're asking ourselves some very important questions. The questions are, number one, who are the people who might be interested in my product or might be interested in my service? Where do they hang out, online or in the real world? And what plan can I come up with for approaching them? This is the first question that you have to ask yourself, no matter what business you're involved in. Whether you have table water, whether you do kids' wares, or whether you repair computers. This is the first question you're going to ask. So for Mr. Austin, who is into computers, he has to ask himself the first question: where are the people that might be interested in buying computers or who might need computing services? Where can I find them, online or in real life? And for Uzodima, who sells kids' wares, she also has to ask that question too. Now that I know where these people are in real life or online, what plan can I use for starting a conversation with them? That is what prospecting is about. That is stage one. Then the second one is called qualification. Let me put that down here in the chat. So next is qualification. That's a technical word. What does qualification mean? It sounds big, but the meaning is very simple. Now that I've reached out to people who I think are my perfect audience, people who might need my product or my service, this is where you engage people in the conversation to try and figure out who is this person, what do they need, what are they trying to achieve with my product or my service, what problems are they trying to solve. Those are the sorts of questions that we ask ourselves at this stage. Because if, like Uzodima, you think that the people who need your kids' wares are online on Instagram, when somebody sends you a direct message or a private message on Instagram, before you try to sell them anything, you have to try and figure out what exactly do they need. Because there's no point in trying to sell somebody what you think is the perfect Christmas jumper if at the end of the day, the mom is not interested in Christmas wear, or she's looking for Christmas wear, but of a different brand or a different make or different design or things like that. Because it's not about what you like or what you think it's ideal. It's about what our potential customers, our potential buyers, it's about what they think is ideal. So qualification is a part of the conversation where we're trying to figure out who it is that we are talking to. Now, the last stage is called discovery. Well, not the last stage, but the last stage that we are going to talk about today. And let me put that down here in the chat. Okay, so stage 3. Okay, so before I move on to stage 3, we have some messages here. Okay, Boss Sede has said, okay, so Boss Sede has said that she has realized that wasting time on social medias. Okay, all right, so it looks like Boss Sede thinks that her customers are elderly and that they meet in clubs and different societies. And so because of that, she thinks maybe she has been wasting her time on social media. Okay, now that is a possibility, Madam Bosside. Okay, it looks like some people are having problems hearing my audio. Who else has a problem hearing the audio? Okay, Bob Bassi, sound problems. So who else? Okay, well, okay, it looks like a lot of people can hear me loud and clear. So for the people who are having problems hearing, maybe you can go and get headsets like I am using right now, plugging them into my ears. It helps to cut out the noise in the background. And so that if you increase the volume really loud, you're going to be able to hear everyone. Okay, Deborah says she can hardly hear me. If you have headphones like these sorts of headphones, just get them, stick them in, crank up the volume, and you should be able to hear. Then it could also be an data problem. So maybe you can switch the data provider that you're using, and it might have stronger bandwidth, and then maybe you'll be able to hear me clearer. Austin on Zoom platform, no sound. Okay, maybe you might have to check your sound settings, but it looks like lots of people can. It looks like lots of people can hear me loud and clear. So for those people who can't hear me, please get earphones, because I noticed a lot of you. I'm looking at the screens now. A lot of you are trying to listen from your device audio, so that might not be the best. So please go and get headphones. Simple earphones like this are going to really help. And then make sure that the volume is cranked up the loudest. Then also change your service provider. Like for me, I have Glow here, and I have. Okay, so OD said best on headphones. Yes, I'd recommend. Okay, yes. So the people who are using AirPods can hear me very well. So I think that's the problem. So, Mr. Austin, you're having problems with Zoom. So check your audio settings. Then also get earphones. Okay, all right. So now back to Madam Bossede. So she was talking about how with prospecting, that maybe she lost it on prospecting because her potential clients are elderly and they spend their time in clubs. Okay, so I just want to give a brief rejoinder on that. So yes, that might actually be the case, but there's also something to consider, that when you're looking at online channels have different demographics. Demographics just means the age, the sex, the occupation of our potential customers. Those are two things that we should be looking at when we're trying to target customers. We should be looking at one, demographics, and then two, psychographics. Okay, let me make a note of that so that I can put that in the summary that I'm going to send to the class. Okay, all right. Now, this is precisely the reason why I don't have any slides, because during the conversations like this, the things that you guys actually need to learn starts becoming very clear. So in using social media, a lot of it has to do with targeting. Before we start putting off stuff on social media, we should be asking ourselves, like Ms. Bossede is asking, where are my potential customers in real life or online? So because people are elderly doesn't mean that they don't spend time on social media. but we can change the demographics. We can select the social media based on whether it meets the demographics or the psychographics of the people that we're trying to target. Demographics just means age, sex, location. Yes, age, sex, occupation, location. So there are some people that, okay, so Mr. Hassan, he does table water. So for Hassan, since he's in Bauchi, I didn't write it down, but I think Mr. Hassan is in Bauchi. If I'm Mr. Hassan, if I'm correct, please let me know. So Mr. Hassan in Bauchi, demographics, since it's a physical product, obviously he's going to be dealing with people that live in Bauchi or around Bauchi, wherever he is, or places that he can easily distribute his water to. So demographics for him would be number one, Bauchi. Then occupation. Does occupation matter for Mr. Hassan, who does table water? Maybe not, because everybody drinks table water. But if he wants to promote his business by using distributors, that is people who buy water and then sell to other people, then the demographics now are going to be people who are involved in the water business. That's their occupation. So he's going to be looking at people who sell Seaway water, people who sell Coca-Cola, Fanta, all these distributors that stock all these things in the major markets. He's going to be looking at those people as potential customers as well. So that is occupation. We've looked at location, Bauchi. Occupation, it doesn't matter, but he could be talking to traders who wholesale in water and drinks. Then sex. Sex is not going to matter because both male and female, they drink water, so sex doesn't matter. So those are the sorts of things that we look at when we're talking about demographics. Then psychographics, those are things that people are interested in. So Ms. Bossede said that most of the people, okay, Ms. Bossede, would help if you can say what line of business that you are involved in and why you think that they are not going to be on social media. So psychographics are the things that people are interested in. So maybe she thinks that people hang out in clubs because they're old. So maybe they're interested in wellness and recreation, because if they're old and they're retired, then I'm sure they're trying to see how they can hang out with other people who are the same age, find companionship, those sorts of things. So, but before we decide whether they're on social media or not, we should be looking at demographics and psychographics. And social media platforms have different demographic bents. For instance, TikTok. Lots of people are on TikTok, but for now, it looks like TikTok is mostly a thing for the young, teenagers. Facebook also has its own demographic. Facebook is, well, people say that now that there are no young people on Facebook, that Facebook is mostly people who are 40 years old and above. And maybe that's true, because after all, when Facebook came on the scene, I was in my early 20s. So I guess it sounds about right. So if you're trying to target people who are 40s and older, then you should be looking at Facebook. Now, LinkedIn also has a different set of demographics as well, because you have people young, middle-aged, and old, but it's mostly people who are getting to the top limit of the 20s and 30s that are there. And it's mostly people who are interested in professional stuff, business development, career development, those sorts of things. So that's where psychographics comes in. That's what people are interested in. Then, so anyway, these are the questions that we should be asking ourselves before we decide that our target market is not, whether our target market is online or not. So, what was I? Okay, yeah. So that's handling Bossidy's question. But if you put another message in the chat, Bossity, I would like to take another crack at that. I would like to question that assumption to see whether your target audience is not on social media. Yeah, whether your target audience is on social media or not. So now you can see the reason why I said that these are the foundational stages. So if, like Boss today, you think you've gotten prospecting wrong, all the other things you do don't matter. Because if you're trying to talk to people on social media, but they're not your potential audience, they're not your potential buyers, they're not the right person, you are wasting your time. So yes, there are a lot of people who are wasting their time putting on posts on Instagram because your potential buyers are not on Instagram, or you're going to physical locations where your buyers are not. Because there are some people, like let's say Uzodima, who does kids wear. So Uzodima, she does kids wear, and let's say she thinks that her potential buyers are in church. But if Uzodima goes to a church that is full of young people and hippies, those people don't have children yet. So Uzodima can be networking at every Wednesday service and every Sunday service and every Friday service. But the thing is, if Uzodima specializes in kids' wears, but this church is a hippie church, people do not have families, people do not have children, it's only a church of singles, then she's wasting her time there. She ought to be networking and looking for customers in a different place. So that's why prospecting is absolutely fundamental. So, okay, yes. Then we also, okay, so yes, I was talking about discovery. Now, discovery is the stage of the process where you try and figure out if the person has a problem that is worth solving. Because it's possible that you can find someone who is the right, it's possible that you find someone who is the right kind of potential client that you're looking for, the right kind of buyer that you're looking for. And it's possible that the person has a problem. But if the person doesn't think it's a problem worth solving right now, that person is never going to take action. And it doesn't matter the amount of talking that you do, the person is not going to take action. Now, let's give another example. We've used Hassan and Table Water as an example. We've used Uzodima and her kids wear as an example. Okay, let's try Austin. So Austin is into computers. So forgive me, Austin, I can't remember if you said you do computer sales or repairs, but let's just assume that Austin does computer paints. Okay, sorry, hold on. Okay, a few people are still complaining about. Okay, Austin says that he can hear now. Okay, Austin, please, whatever it is that you adjusted on your system that helped, can you just put it down here so that people can try that out as well? Because I still see someone saying that there's no audio. So let me type a message so that they can change their audio settings. Okay, so no audio problems. Please change your system audio on Zoom or computer. Also, please use headphones for best. Okay, I had to type that out because.
Hi, Tabashima. Please just
Yes.
we're going to be chatting with those that actually have audio issues, so you can just go ahead with the training. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, okay. All right. So for the example that we're using, computers, Austin, and we're talking about qualification. Yes. So it's not enough that you're talking to the right person and that the person has a problem. The person also needs to think that they have a problem that is worth solving right now. Now, let me give an example. If Austin is into computer sales and computer maintenance, I'm sure that this is something that Austin comes across every once in a while. You do computer maintenance, and so obviously you repair computers. Somebody comes to your shop to say, this is my MacBook Pro, blah, blah, blah. And on my keyboard, XYZ and ABC are not working. So every time I want to use it, I now have to pull up on-screen keyboard to work. And then you give them a bill. You say it's going to be 50,000 naira to fix. And the person says, 50,000 naira, that is too much. People will go back and forth. You drop from 50 to 32K. And the person says, no problem. Let me think about it. I'll come back next week. And you never hear from the person again. Now, this is the reason why a lot of these people are disappearing, is because they don't think that they have a problem that is worth solving. If you had engaged the person in the conversation and you try and find out, oh, this computer that you have, who bought it for you? What do you use it for? You might find out that the computer, first of all, is old. And so the person leaves it for the children to learn. The person leaves it for the children to play games, for instance. So if the person has been leaving the computer for his children to play games, it's a question that you have to ask that, okay, Oga, trying to fix this thing could be anything between the range of 20K to 50K. And it's just a gaming computer. Do you think it's something that you should even be wasting time on, since it's not your work computer? You need to have that conversation, because if it is not important to him to fix it, it is better you know now than he says, let me go and think about it. I will come back. And then next week you're calling him to follow up. And the day after that, you're calling him to follow up again. You need to know right now if it's a problem worth solving or not. Because if it is just an old computer that is at home that the children use to play games, then spending 32,000 to fix it is not his problem. He has other things that he can spend his money on. Or if it's the mommy of the children that brought the computer, she has other things that she can spend her money on. But then if you ask and you see that it is a business computer that they use for the business every day, that they leave it behind for the, let's say they have a receptionist or some admin staff. And because of that, it is slowing down the productivity of the admin staff because the XYZ key is not working and the ASDF keys are not working. So it's slowing down their productivity. It means that people are taking longer and longer to do their jobs. Then in this case, it actually is causing a problem for them. And it's something that you should play up before you start discussing money. It's something that you should play up, that you're leaving this computer with them. The computer is defective. It is a work thing. So these people are meant to be handling work that will produce revenue for them. But if they are not doing that work as fast as they can, then why are you just letting something as small as 30,000 naira stand in the way of your business making progress? Those are the kinds of conversations that you have with someone if you know if it is a problem that is worth solving. Okay, Philomena has asked a question. What is the difference between qualification stage and discovery stage? And she wants me to throw some more light on the discovery stage. Okay, I just stopped talking about the discovery stage, but let me take it from another angle. Whenever you're speaking with someone who is a potential buyer, you need to find out two things. You need to find out lots of information about the person that you're talking to, and you need to find out lots of information about the problem that the person has. So always remember that when we're having sales conversations with people, we're trying to figure out people, we're trying to figure out problem. When you know who the person is, you know what it is that you're going to recommend. Somebody said I should use examples in the agriculture space. I will try, but you have to give some more details because you just said I should use agribusiness. But let me try and use some agricultural examples. So let's say you have a poultry and you have hundreds of chickens. Part of the things that you sell would be the chicken meat, would be the chicken eggs, and then would be the waste products. Because people use things like eggshells to create calcium for animal feed. Okay, it's 11:39 now. Okay, so we should try and round up soon so we can go straight to the question and answer. So to create a calcium for animal feed, and then the chicken, what's it called? The droppings, the excrement, they can use that as manure and things like that. So it is not just enough that you are in front of the right person who needs chicken products, but we need to find out what problems it is that they are facing. So if the person, because it's possible that even though you're talking to somebody who might need chicken produce, the kinds of conversations that you will have, that's pricing conversations and problem conversations, are different if you're talking to somebody who is looking for chicken meat versus somebody who is looking to buy waste products like the cracked eggs that you gather at the end of the week. That's a different set of conversations that you need to have. So that's why you need to be paying attention to the person as well as the problem. So when somebody comes to your poultry, they say, oh, madam, Mama Blessing, I didn't know that you have poultry here. I say, yeah, so I have poultry. I've been doing this business for like 3 years now. Say, okay. Yeah, I've been looking for somebody that sells poultry things. You invite the person in. Okay, sit down. So, and then you'll be asking general questions. Why do you need poultry products? What kind of poultry products do you need? What kind of business are you involved in? These sorts of things. Those are the kind of things that are going to inform the conversations that you have, because it's possible that the person shows up saying that they need to buy eggshells because they want to use it for manure, but you are the poultry specialist and sorry, not manure, for fertilizer, calcium for fertilizer. So you are the poultry specialist. You're the one who will now be able to better advise the person that, well, using the egg for calcium for fertilizer is good. But if you use the waste droppings, it also has calcium. It also has, what's the other thing? Is it ammonium? Please, for those of you in the poultry space who know about these sorts of things, please let me know. So you say that the droppings are much better because it has calcium and it has ammonium, which is a lot better for what you're trying to plant. What are you planting? And the person will say, I'm planting corn or I'm planting millet. You now be able to advise the person that, oh, okay, for these particular crops, it is better to use the droppings for fertilizer instead of using grounded. Okay, Abdullahi Usman has said, and nitrogen. So the droppings of the chicken also has nitrogen. So nitrogen, calcium, ammonium. So it will be suitable for some kinds of crops and not some other kinds of crops. I need to ask these questions because these are the things that cause problems in the future. Because somebody might come and say, give me eggshells. I want it for fertilizer. You just sell the person eggshells. You didn't ask fertilizer. Are you growing yam? Are you growing corn? Are you growing millet? Are you growing tomato? Are you growing egusi? You didn't ask all these questions. And the person will take it and use it. And the person will now be angry with you that the eggshells that they bought for manure, it did not work and the products did not grow. The reason why it didn't work and the product didn't grow is because you didn't ask the right sets of questions about the person. This thing that you're buying it, what do you want to use it for? What problem are you facing? And because of that, what you recommended was not the right thing. And that is what causes a problem for a lot of our businesses. If you had asked the question, just like Mr. Abdullahi Usman said here, and you figured out that what they're planting is beans, and beans need lots of nitrogen in the soil when you're planting your beans, then you would now know that, okay, Oga, yes, you came and you said it is eggshells that you want because of calcium for the fertilizer. But in my own professional opinion, I will advise you do the droppings. Even if the droppings, the poo-poo of the chicken is more expensive, this is what you should do because it is a rich source. It has the calcium, it has the ammonium, and it also has the nitrogen, which is good for the beans. So you sell it to the person like this, they go and they use it, it makes a difference, and they'll be very happy. And they'll recommend you to other people because they'll say, this woman, she's a specialist. She really knows what it is that she's doing. That since I started my business, I have been using eggshells as fertilizer. Thing has not been working. I spoke to this woman. She told me about the droppings. This is the thing that she said. I used it and it made a difference in my crop. My beans started growing twofold, threefold. That this woman knows what she knows her business. So these are the oh, okay, good. Somebody here also said you should Talatu Idris Abdul Razak said, okay, no, sorry. Okay, Ismaila Sunday said we should also be talking about soil, physical, and chemical properties. So that's also another thing you should be asking. When you ask the person, what kind of crop are you growing? Beans. It's not just enough to know if it's beans. You need to know beans on what kind of soil. Is it stony soil? Is it loamy soil? Is it clay soil? Is it sandy soil? Because these are the things that it will affect the kind of recommendation that you make. Because for instance, if it is loamy soil, which is more clay in component, you will now be able to recommend other things like maybe using roughage, putting roughage on the soil, and then blending it with the fertilizer as well. So see, Ismaila is even coming up with seed varieties. Okay, very good. So seed varieties. So these are the questions that you should be asking. Now, these are the reasons why these are the most important stages. Because if somebody comes to you to say, give me eggshells for fertilizer, you didn't ask, what are you growing? You didn't ask, where are you growing? How is the soil? You didn't ask, which seed variety are you using? Is it iron beans? Is it honey beans? Is it, all these different kinds of beans? You didn't ask all these questions. There's no how you will make a recommendation that the person will be happy with at the end of the day. Well, you can, but it'll be hit and miss. But when you ask all these questions, qualification, discovery, questions about the person, questions about the problem, you will now be able to make the right recommendation that will suit them. And like somebody says here, Adeleke Adeola, referral. That's where referrals come in, because they will know that, this is my neighbor who sells chickens. I spoke to her. She was able to solve all my problems. And then the referrals will start coming in. So I hope for those of you who were asking questions about the difference between qualification and discovery, I hope this throws more light on it. But let's look at it this way. Instead of thinking in terms of the title, just think in terms of the major question you should be asking. Stage one, who is the person that might be interested and where can I find them? That's stage one. Stage two, I'm now talking to somebody. I think this person might be interested. What kind of question should I be asking the person to figure out if at all they're interested and my product or service suits their needs? And then number three, now that I'm talking to the right person, now that I know the person has a problem, let's figure out if this is a problem that is worth solving. It is only then that you can now move to the later stage, which is your pricing correct? Are you negotiating properly? Do you know how to close the deal? Are you giving part payments? Are you collecting 70% deposit? All those other things come later. If you miss this main three, you have missed road. Okay, let me see. Okay, Adeleke Adeola's. Okay, 7% of customers are referral and the rest are Instagram. Okay, that's good. That's a very healthy mix. But I didn't see, I'm not sure I got if there was any question there from Madam Adeleke Adeola. Then okay, strategies to okay, now the questions have started rolling in. So you know what? I think we can now move into the question and answer stage. Faith, do you think it's okay? Sorry, Light, is that okay that we'll move into the question and answer stage?
Okay, I think that's okay, but I think to be fair for us to take questions of those that want to speak first. But if you're done teaching on what you had planned out, then we can start on the question. But if you're not done, you can just hold on till you're done.
Okay, I'm done now because the last time we went over time. So I wanted to make sure that I would only speak for about 30 minutes so that we can use the remaining 30 minutes for question and answer. So I am done.
Okay, so we can start taking in questions now. So you can start from the chat box because I'm yet to see if you want to take ask any question, you want to speak, please signify and you'll be allowed to unmute yourself. But before then, we can start taking in questions on the chat box.
Okay, all right. So there are a couple of people who are raising their hands now. Madam Bridget, don't worry. It's not that we are done. I'm just making room for question and answer, because that way we're going to deal with what people are, what is really bothering people here today. So we're going to start with I'm going to start looking at questions in the chat. So I'm going to start from Pamela Ordan. That's at 11. Okay, let me make a note. 11:49. I'm just checking the timestamp. Okay, so for those of you who are asking questions after 11:49, don't worry, we're going to get with you. But let me start from Pamela and then walk my way back. Then I'll scroll down to the screen and then work my way up again. So for Ordan, 11:49. Oh, sorry, I lost. Okay. Oh, sorry, Pamela Ordan. Okay, so now how do I source distributors for my spice business? Okay, now that question is around prospecting. She wants to know how to source distributors for her spice products. Now, when it comes to prospecting, there's no hard and fast rule. And sometimes you just have to use a little bit of common sense. And then we also have to use a lot of experimentation because nobody knows everything. So in the beginning, we're going to be doing a lot of guesswork. She didn't say what kind of spices that she has. So I'm assuming that by that she means cooking spices. So if you have cooking spices, and we're going to start making rough guesses about where we can find our customers. I'm assuming, okay, first of all, the two headings that we'll be looking under for someone who has food products will be either retail, wholesale, okay, will be either retail, wholesale, or outlets. That would be the way that I think you should be looking about it. Then retail. Retail is basically end users like you and I who need spices. For how are we going to read those sorts of people? It's possible that you can be selling your spices retail one-on-one using social media, because there's a particular chicken spice that I discovered not long ago that I used that I liked, and it's from Instagram that I saw a chef who has it, a chef that is based here in Abuja, and he's always putting up his spices on his Instagram handle. Then another way of trying to capture retail people is to try and see how you can get your products in stores. That is where the wholesale thing comes out. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Sometimes you can walk to the market that is close to you or to the shopping mall that is close to you and trying to convince somebody to put your product in their shop. You go there with a small consignment, maybe 20 bottles, 30 bottles of your spice, of your curry, your thyme, your chicken spice, whatever it is, and you try and get them to stock a certain number of bottles to see how well it moves. That's also another one. And then when we're talking about outlets now for spices, that's a matter of looking to restaurants. Let's see what else. Restaurants or side joints. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. We don't know what kind of spices that it is, so we're just freestyling here. But the bottom line is this: you're not going to get the perfect answer before you start. So just come up with a few common sense ideas, test them out, and then start doubling down on what works. Because it's possible that you try and sell on Instagram, but the Instagram market is not moving. You try and talk to all the market women around and the people who have shopping malls around, and they're not buying your stuff. But then you might go and talk to a few mama puts and a few restaurants, and then they're buying your spice instead of buying small quantities, 10 or 20 bottles, they're buying plenty, 100, 200, 300 bottles. If that is what works out for you, outlets, then you now double down on outlets. But if we don't make a few rough guesses and try them out, a few common sense rough guesses and try them out, then we'll never know what it is that is going to work. Then let me see. I'm gonna go back to 1149. Okay, you know what? Let me change the approach. If I try to look for that again, I'll get lost. Okay. All right.
I think
Somebody's asking again.
Okay, can we take like one question from the chat box and then have one person speak? One person speak.
Okay. Yeah. All right, no problem. Okay, but before we do that, let me just answer this one again.
Okay.
Somebody wants to know, Ubong Matthew, simplified summary of the qualification stage. Qualification just means, does the person have a problem that is worth solving? If they don't have a problem that is worth solving, then there's no point in having that conversation. There's no point in pricing. There's no point in negotiating, because you are not going to end up doing a deal. You're not going to end up doing a deal with that person. Let me see what. Okay, which example did I use the last time? Okay, let's say Hassan, table water. You're trying to sell Hassan is trying to sell his table water to different restaurants. But let's say maybe the place where Hassan's factory is located is not in an upscale neighborhood. You know what I mean? That is not in a place that is where people are financially buoyant. Now, it's possible that in that area, people, as far as they're concerned, table water is a waste of money. They'd rather spend 10 naira on pure water. So the thing is, in that area, everybody has the need and they are the right person in a sense because everybody needs water. But as far as they're concerned, if tap water is going to solve their problem, because where I live in Abuja here, like for my family, we use seaway water and we use bottled water. But then there are some people in the neighborhood, like all these children who are coming back from school, they just come and they drink direct from the tap that is outside. Because for them, they don't have a problem, in quote, that is worth solving for table water because tap water is fine, pure water is fine. So for Mr. Hassan now, if his factory is located in that kind of area and he's trying to sell to people around that area, he'll be wasting his time because there's a need for sure, but they don't think it's a problem worth solving. There are some people who are not even going to waste money on pure water, waste money in quote. They'd rather drink well water because for them, it's not a problem. That is what qualification is. And those are the questions that you should be asking. Because if you're trying to supply your table water to Mama Nkechi's restaurant, but Mama Nkechi says, look, I know my customers. These people are not going to spend 150 naira on one table water. What moves here is pure water, sachet uh, of 10 naira. If that is what she thinks, it doesn't matter how you negotiate from now till tomorrow. You are not going to do a deal because there is no problem. Because her people like pure water, her people drink pure water. Some of them even drink tap water or well water. So you are not going to close the deal. You are better off once you have these qualification discussions. You're better off moving on to somebody else who might have that need. You'll be spending your time better then. So over to Light so that we can handle a an audio question.
Okay, can we have Boma? Please unmute yourself and go ahead with your question.
Okay. My question, because ever since you've been talking, I noticed that just been on how to reach the customers. I was thinking you were going to also go into the aspect of the brand, if it will also affect the sales, branding the product, how it affects sales. Because for me, a lot of people, maybe because I live around Lekki environment, some people will say, oh, the way you have done your label is not catchy and all of that. So I don't know, does it also apply? Because we're talking about sales here, and I think branding is part of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Yes, branding is an important part of the sales equation, and this is the relationship between the two. Branding answers the question, how do people perceive me? How do people know about me? Now, branding is important because if you get the right brand positioning, then it's going to affect whether you can sell well or not. So yes, if your outlets are around the Lekki environs, for instance, yes, there's a certain kind of brand aesthetic that you should be trying to achieve. But this is where people have a problem. The problem is this: people usually sit in their own homes and brainstorm by themselves about what they think the adequate brand is. But the adequate brand is not about you; it's about the market. So actually, you should be interacting a lot with your customers, and the feedback you get from them is what informs how the brand should turn out. That's the reason why, if you look at lots of high-end brands now, whether it's Coca-Cola or Mercedes-Benz or Adidas or whatever, if you check their history, you will see that the branding has not always been the same because it is changing according to changing customer tastes, requirements, things like that. So we should always have our finger on the pulse. We should always be interacting with our clients. So, Madam Boma, please, um, let's get practical here. What kind of business are you involved in? We just know that you're around Lekki, but what is it that you do? Sorry, Madam Boma, we're trying to address your question on branding. But before we get specific, I need to know exactly what it is that you do, the customers that you're trying to reach.
Hi, Boma.
Okay. All right. So I was muted. Yeah,
Okay.
I produce granite oil. Yes, and so I bottled it and then I sent to some of the supermarkets. So, but sometimes when I take them there, they tell me, oh, the label is not that catchy. Maybe that's why customers are not coming towards it. They rather go for the ones that are catchy. So that's one major concern. So I'm now looking at rebranding. Okay, but this time around, the approach I'm taking is what you just said, by asking people around, okay, look at the label. What do you think? Not just myself and maybe people around me. So that's what I'm doing now. Yeah. Then,
Okay.
sorry,
All
if
right.
I
So
could
three things.
add, sorry, if you
Yep.
don't mind, I could add something else.
No.
You talked about taking product to outlets. I have a challenge with taking product to outlets. Why? Because when you take them to the supermarkets, for example, they tell you it has to be placed on SOR. Now, SOR can last for God knows how long. Sometimes it could be 7 months. Now, it affects your business. I mean, you're tying down funds that you should have, used over time for business, and it's just tied down. So, how do we go about that? Because you're suggesting that's a good way of pushing out the business, but it's also standing in the way of our finances. So, what do we do? Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start backwards. The last question was on pushing out through outlets. Sorry, I'm not familiar with what the term SOR is, but I kind of get the idea, because when I started off in my photography business, it's a problem that we used to face when we were dealing with multinationals. Now, when we're doing photography for normal people, it's a very simple thing. Okay, this is what you want to do, no problem, we'll do it for you. The amount is 200,000, 400,000. You must pay 70% upfront. They pay, you deliver, you collect the rest of your money. That's the end of it. But now, when you're dealing with, SOR, sell or return, sales on return. Okay, yes, it's still kind of close. It's just that in the service space, we call that payment terms, or video services or software or things like that. Payment would now be net 30 or net 40. Basically, what that means is, even after you provide the service now, we're not going to pay you until next month or in 2 months. There's net 30, there's net 60, there's net 90. So in this case, sales or return, so that means they're only giving you money only when the item is sold. Now, this is more of a cash flow problem, more of a financing problem, and it's something you have to ask yourself from the beginning before you get into it, because you either have the financing for that or you don't. So because there are some of us who need the profits right now from the goods so we can plow back into the business. If your business is not properly financed, then you cannot engage in all these things where you drop the goods now, January 1st, but you're going to receive payment February 18th, or you don't even know when at all that you're going to receive payment. That is mostly a financing question. So, how much money have you raised from your investors? How much money do you have in your savings? What is your burn rate? I think it's called burn rate. You look at your expenses, and you see that every single month I'm spending so and so 100,000 naira to buy the groundnut, X amount to process the groundnut, this amount to bottle, this amount to store, this amount to distribute. So those are the questions that you should be asking yourself. It's mostly a financing thing. What is my burn rate? How much am I spending every month? To meet it up, how much am I going to need at the end of the year? So how much more should I save? How much more money should I go and meet my investors for? Those sorts of things. Some people are able to get lines of credit from their bank from these sorts of things, but that's mostly a cash flow and a financing or accounting problem, and not really a sales problem. So that's the reason why I said that I wasn't recommending that people should use outlets, but that let's just come up with some common sense ideas and then we'll try it and see what the problems are. If we try outlets and these are the problems that we are having, then we can back out and then see how we can focus on retail, or yes, retail, how we can sell our groundnut oil through our Instagram, like the chef that I bought the chicken spice from, because he only does his selling through Instagram or people that he meets one-on-one. He goes for the event, he caters for the event, and he's like, oh, by the way, we have these products, and then he shows people. So those are things that we can try. So that's for the SOR conversation. Then for the label, you said you're asking people's comments on the label. That's a good idea. We should be asking people what their opinions are. But this is the only caveat I'm going to give. When you're asking people, don't just ask anybody who's around. Only ask people who have paid for the product, because those are the only opinions that matter. People who give their own opinions, yes, they're trying to be nice, but the thing is they haven't bought it, and until somebody votes with their money, we don't know for sure whether they are our target market and whether the opinion counts. So it is the people who have paid, especially the people who have been doing repeat purchases. Those are the people's opinions who count. Those people's opinions come first. You take those in, that is how you rank the opinions of people when you're getting customer surveys and things like that. So it's a mistake that people make when they're doing customer surveys. They ask people who might be interested, they ask their friends, they ask their family, they ask their colleagues, but those opinions don't really count. When it comes to customer survey, it's paying customers. Those are the people who are going to give you. When it comes to storing things in the market, okay, when it comes to storing things in the market, there's also one important part of the equation. Unfortunately, when you put things in the store, there also has to be a certain amount of okay, merchandising goes into it. That is, how did you design the product and things like that. But then there's also a lot of advertising support that is needed, because at the end of the day, you can merchandise it right, but if it hasn't been advertised and it's an unknown quantity, people might not be willing to try it out. And then store placement is also important. Yes, where did you put it? In the beginning, the middle, or the end? Bottom shelf, top shelf, things like that. All those things are important. That's the reason why TomTom and all these small sweets, that's why they're not placed at the back of the store. They're placed at the back of the store. It's not going to be any sales. All those tiny things, chewing gum, cigarettes, what do you call this thing? The one that you spray in your mouth, all those things. That's the reason why they're put in front at eye level, at payment, so that somebody can see, oh, there's no change. Let me take this. Or the person can see, like, oh, I've run out of chewing gum to freshen my breath after I eat in the canteen at the office, and then they take. So all these things are really, really important. So you have to be able to have good relationships with the store person to be able to negotiate all these sorts of things. So yes, you're putting it in the store, but where are you putting it? Front, back, middle, bottom shelf, top shelf, at the point of payment. It can get quite complicated. So, Madam Boma, I hope we've been able to answer your question. But if I haven't, just let you can send a message to Light, and she will get back to me on that one. So let me move back to the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tabashima. So I think we have one question popping up on the chat box. This is from Veronica Ubende. What strategies can I implement to increase sales and improve customer engagement in my fashion business?
All right, let me make a note of that. Fashion. Increase sales. Increase engagement. Okay, now when we're talking about increasing sales, please try and get some more information from her about when she says fashion, exactly what it is that she means. Is it ready, what do you call it, ready to wear, or is it that she has a store, people come, she measures them.
Okay, hi Victoria,
Sorry.
can you speak? Yeah, okay. Please unmute, you can unmute yourself and go ahead speaking.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, my name is Veronica Obende. I'm the CEO for Running Outfitters Limited, a premium outfitter. So we design and make clothes for male, female, kids, all ages, all sizes, and all genders. But on the other hand, we have a particular niche for the kind of fabric we use. Our fabrics are African prints, but it's all lycralized. So it does stretch, no shrinks, and no fade. So you see it and you think it's just a normal Ankara, but until you get close and feel it, then you see that it's different. And then it has a twist of European styles. So most of my outfits come with the hoodie.
Hoodie, as in?
Yes, hoodie. Yes,
over the head. Okay, that's interesting. Well, from the descriptions, I can't I can't say I picture what it is that you're trying to describe. Okay, no problem. Let me take a crack at this. Now, when it comes to increasing sales is always an activity play. What that means is this: there are certain things that you do that get you X number of results. So when you started the business, there are some things that you did that got you your first set of clients. For instance, when I started off as a wedding photographer, this is what I did. I shot one wedding for 50,000. I covered my brother's wedding, and then I shot 6 weddings for free. Then I took all those pictures and I put them into a book, and I made 3 copies of those books. I dropped one with a friend in Victoria Island who is a makeup artist. I used one to visit people and have meetings. The third one, I can't remember what it is that I did with the third one. Now, doing that got me a certain number of jobs. When you want to increase your sales, usually what you have to do is to scale your activity. So since that is how I started, and that is what worked for me, I should have made more portfolios to put in more locations and then schedule more client meetings, and then my sale will grow. So in the beginning, activity solves all sales problems. So you should be looking at what you did. Let's assume now that you have 20 clients. You should sit down and ask yourself, what did I do to get these 20 clients? And then the answer to growing your sales is do more of that. So if you want double the revenue, you have to aim to double or triple the amount of activity to get the results. Now, I know that's not perfect, but that's a topic for a future a future discussion, especially for those of you who want to engage my services later on. But in the early days, all your sales problems are problems of scale. That is, finding out what did you do and then multiplying that activity. That is going to lead to more sales. So in the chat, sorry, I didn't get your name. Maybe in the chat, you just say what kinds of activities that you did to get the kinds of what activities did you do to get the clients that you currently have, or your first set of clients, and then we'll see how you can scale those activities. Then okay, Veronica, oh, pop-ups. By pop-ups, you mean you go close to a market, you rent a what's it called? You rent a canopy, and then you have a mannequin, and then you put your things there. Is that the case? Is that what a pop-up is? Okay, well, she hasn't answered, but I think that that's what a pop-up is. I see things like that in Abuja as well. There's a general market not far from where, oh, different cities. Okay, not really. She does different cities, and then she partners with people. Okay, very good. So Veronica has been doing pop-ups in Lagos, Abuja. Okay, so she's been doing pop-ups, Lagos, and Abuja, so, and partnering with people. So the answer now to getting more sales is to scale. Let's say that she has been doing Lagos, Abuja, but she only does once a month. Then the answer to getting more sale is maybe you do it twice a month or 3 times a month. Or the answer might be you try more cities. If you've done Lagos and Abuja, Ibadan is close by. Maybe you try Ibadan. For Abuja, Nasarawa is not too far. There's a university in Nasarawa, although Nasarawa is even hotter than Abuja. So I don't know if they might use, it's lycra and it's hoodie. So I don't know if they might wear that sort of thing there. But, you can try that. So when you're in Lagos and you're doing the pop-up, instead of doing Lagos only, you can do Lagos and Ibadan. So Lagos today, Ibadan on Wednesday. When you do Abuja, central area Abuja on Monday, and then maybe you go to the university in Nasarawa on Wednesday. But bottom line is, you take these activities, you scale it, that leads to higher sales. Okay, Deborah is saying that scaling makes sense and who you partner with. I forgot the partner thing. Yes, you have partners. So if you have 2 partners, one in Lagos, one in Abuja, and it seems to be working, then let's say if you're based in Lagos, it might be easier for you to find more partners in Lagos because going to Abuja will involve travel. So instead of 2 partners in Lagos, you can try and see how you can get 10, 12 partners in Lagos. And then for the Abuja, add maybe 1 or 2. But you get the whole point. In the beginning, scale solves all problems in the beginning. Now, there's a second part to the question that okay, somebody also recommended that you can try tagging people in social media to get their attendance. Okay, well, that's a good idea, tagging people. But in my own opinion, you get the best results when you pick up the phone. So it's not just a matter of tagging the person and sending the person DMs. Eventually, you have to have that conversation. Hey, I see what you do. This is what I do. I think there's some mutual benefit here if we try and sell together. So I've done some partnerships in Lagos and Abuja. We're able to get some good results. I was able to make some good returns for the people that partnered with me. Are you open to having a conversation? Let's see if we can do a pop-up in your city. The person will either say yes or no. If they say yes, and you say, okay, cool, I'm free on Wednesday to talk. Should I come to your office or do you want to come to my own office? Just pick up the phone, handle this conversation sharp, and then see how we can move things forward. Okay. Veronica has said that Lagos is very competitive and people don't understand collaboration. Okay, the recommendation I'm going to give on this, the reason I want to attend to this is because it's a problem that a lot of you are going to solve when it comes to collaboration. Business people understand Naira and Kobo. They don't understand anything else. So if you approach somebody saying, let us partner, let us do strategic alliance, let us do, what's the other word? There are different words that people have for all these sorts of things. If you start talking all that fancy English, you will throw the average Nigerian off. Like, why is this person wasting my time? People understand Naira and Kobo. They understand customers and they understand money. So if you go to someone saying, I tried this in Lagos, these were the results, and we're able to earn an extra 100K, or we were able to get an extra 300 people to walk into the store, that's a different conversation. If you go and start talking to someone about strategic partnership, the person will be looking at you like, this person is just speaking grammar. But if you go and you say, I tried this thing in Ibadan and the foot traffic we got was 400 people, the person will start thinking in their head like, okay, right now I'm getting 400 people every month. This lady claims that what she did brought in 400 people in one day. Let me try it. And then people be open to it. So sometimes it's about speaking in terms of what other people are looking for. So don't go there and start talking about collaboration. Don't talk about collaboration. Don't talk about strategic alliances. Don't talk about I can't remember. Don't use any of those fancy terms. Try and speak directly in terms of what people want. Business people want money or they want customers. So if you're bringing, since what you do is fashion and since what you're doing is fashion, if the promise is you're going to get foot traffic or financial returns, then that's a different conversation. Okay, somebody said here, collaboration, people expect reward. Yes, people expect reward. Speak in terms of the reward, foot traffic or profits. Profits, that's hard to guarantee. So for me, I think it's okay to say foot traffic, that, oh, we tried this idea out. We went to Nasarawa State University, and when we did it, we had 300 people come by the stand. Unilag is much more fashion forward. We need 50,000 naira for a stand at Unilag. If I bring 25 and you bring 25, if we could get 600 people to come by in Nasarawa State University, I think for Unilag, we should be able to get the same 600 people. And then the person might be willing to take a gamble. Now, okay, if I drop 25K, but 600 people come, out of 600, I'm able to do business with 10 or 20. I'll be able to make my money back. So that's how you should be. That's how you should be talking in terms of that. Then, okay, how to form Musha Sharif, how to form partnerships without financial obligations and yield good results. Okay, the part of the question here that I want to address is this part of without financial obligations. When we are, well, I think somebody's audio is coming through. Okay, all right. Without financial obligations. Now, when we're having conversations with people, if it sounds like we're being shifty, or it looks like we're trying to avoid, then people are going to feel really sketchy about doing business with us, because nobody wants to do business with anybody who is not all in. I'm not going to partner with anybody who is not all in. I'm not saying that you're not all in, but I'm just saying that the language that you're using is sounding a little shifty. And maybe that might be the problem why you're having difficulties getting people to collaborate with you. So somebody spoke about rewards in the chat. I can't remember who spoke about it. So speak in terms of the reward, and try and get a sense of what is absolutely required to go in. Like the example that I gave right now. If what you need is you need to pay student union council in Unilag for the space, and you need to rent a canopy that you're going to put in Unilag, that's for this fashion collaboration. If that is the very basic, now you have a Naira and Kobo thing, that's 50K. There are two of you. You now have a fair sense of what each person needs to bring. And you now have a fair sense of what the rewards might be. Speak in terms of the promise, and don't be looking at it in terms of what you're trying to avoid. Look in terms of what it is that you're trying to gain, and put it that way. Then people who put questions earlier. Oh, okay. Light, if at any point you want us to take an audio question, let me know. But I'm just going to go now to the questions. Okay, audio. Okay, let's take an audio.
Okay, can we have Bridget, please? Please unmute your mic. Hi, Bridget. Kindly unmute yourself. Hello, Bridget.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you, but your sound is not so great. We're having some background sounds actually affecting your voice. We can't hear you clearly.
Okay, good afternoon, ma. We can hear you, but it's not clear.
Yeah, my problem
Hi, Bridget, we can't hear you clearly, please.
So I think you're in front of the fan. If you move away from the fan.
I think we'll have to take someone else. We can't hear you.
Okay, is it better here? Am I better here? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear, but the buzzing sound is still there.
We can't hear you now. It's better now. Hello.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Okay, Bridget, we can't hear you clearly. Please just type in your questions using the chat box. We may have to get somebody else most of the time. Let's have Chimaobi Joseph, please.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, Chimaobi.
Oh, good morning. Oh, sorry. So I'm hearing another audio stream.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Chimaobi. Okay.
Thank you very much for this wonderful section.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just go.
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much for this wonderful section. I really enjoyed myself. Like, I really learned a lot today, and not just today, even all the sections. My question now is, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening, Chimaobi.
Okay. My question now is, you have been in a business for more than 2 years.
2 years.
And yes, 2 years. And that particular business, when you started, you are making, let's say, I'm just, for instance,
Joseph,
now I'm using for
please.
instance.
Yeah, go on.
Yes.
No problem.
Okay. For that business,
2 years, how much?
2 years, you are making, let's say, 50,000 every month as gain. Then you have been trying to put up different strategies, telling your workers what to do, printing stickers, just to make more customer. But it seems that other people that are joining in the business are even taking away the ones you made. So what can you do? Can you hear my question now? What can you actually do? Yes, because in that particular business, so many people are joining, blocking your customers in different area. So what can you do in that instant? Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chimaobi. Now, this is a very important question, and I think everybody should pay attention right now. So, in summary, this is what Mr. Chimaobi says, if I understand him correctly. He's been involved in the business for about 2 years. Things seem to be going okay, maybe about 50,000 naira profit monthly. And he tried putting out more strategies into the market. So that is one thing, different strategies. Then number two is that competitors, new entrants started coming in and started taking away customers. So there are two issues now. So remember that I said in the beginning, in the early part of your business, scale is what solves all your business problems. And remember, I said scale. Let me type it here in case people think I'm saying skill. I mean scale. Multiplying effort. Okay. So that's what I mean. I'm not saying skill. I'm not saying SKILL. I'm saying scale. SCALE. Multiplying efforts will solve all your problems. Now, before you start trying new strategies, we have to be sure that you haven't stopped doing what worked in the first place. We should always try and figure out what worked the first time and then keep doing more of that. The problem is people do something, it works, then they now start trying something else and something else. You're not going to be able to grow your business doing that. Figure out what works first and then scale it. Eventually, everything gets to the limit of its scale. It is only then you can now start thinking, what can I try new? What can I try? Flyers and all that. If flyers is not what took you to 50,000 naira in profits monthly, then it's possible that you might have tried new strategies prematurely. In the beginning, we should always try and be figuring out what is working now and then scale that thing. When we get to the limit of scale, we'll now worry about that. We'll now strategize and see what can come up with something new. Most important part of the question now is competitors taking away your customers. There's always going to be competition. So we can't avoid that, especially when we enter into businesses that are brand new. For instance, when I was a young boy I'm still a young boy. So when I was much younger in Obalende, in secondary school, that was when people started taking this nylon bag that you use and pack meat. You take the nylon bag, you tie water inside, you put it on your head and you start selling. And I don't know, some people just started this whole thing of producing pure water, making it into proper sachets. I was in secondary school when that thing started. And there are people who built mansions, who sent their children abroad, who built estates on top pure water, because then it was new. Before then, it was people taking normal clear sachet, you put tap water inside or boiled water inside, and then you sell. And then we students, we used to buy it, 2 naira, 5 naira, the prices have been going up and up. So the people that started producing that thing, they made millions and millions and millions. But now everybody knows pure water. It's no longer a new industry like that. There are different people that are there doing pure water. In universities in Abuja produce pure water. Unilag produces pure water. On your streets, there's somebody producing pure water. In your village, there's somebody producing water. So the profits are not going to be as high as before. So there are always going to be new entrants that will come and will cut away at the profits. But if competitors are taking away your customers, then there is a problem. And that is the reason why I started off by saying the most important things you pay attention to are prospecting, qualification, discovery. Are you talking to the right people? Do you understand their problems? And is it a problem that is worth solving? If you understand those issues, then there's no how that people can come and steal your customers from you. The people who are going to move away are people who only care about price and people who feel like there's a substantial problem that you are not addressing. That is why we need to pay attention to the first three stages of the sales process. Because if we have a good understanding of what the problem is, somebody is not going to leave you because you're the one who clearly solves their problem. So Mr. Chimaobi did not say what kind of business he is involved in. So Chimaobi, in the chat, please put it there. Let's see what kind of business you're involved in. And just like how people were helping me to freestyle questions when we're talking about agriculture, people were talking about questions about seed and soil samples. In the house, we can freestyle and you see some very good ideas. Oh, okay. Somebody's corrected me that they call it ice water. Yeah. So ice water. So from pure water to ice water. So where are we? So you need to know, we need to be sure that we're solving the right problems and we're dealing with the right people. It's only then that people will be able to steal our customers from us. But now this is an exercise that I want everybody to start implementing in their businesses today. I didn't say implement tomorrow. Implement this today as soon as you are done with this training. If you don't do anything else, please, house, do this today. Every time somebody buys from you, if somebody buys from you today and you have delivered, put a note in your calendar so that you can call the person back later on. When you call the person back, the purpose of the call is this. You're running a debrief. You're trying to figure out, number one, is the person happy? Number two, you're trying to figure out if they achieved the results that they wanted. Number three, you're trying to find out what could we have done better. You should be having this conversation with everybody and make sure you people implement this today. The lady who has a store in Lekki selling groundnut oil, implement this today. Somebody buys like 50 bottles for her restaurant. Put a note in your calendar. Since it's 50 bottles, it will take a while before she finishes it. Let's say maybe 1 month. Hey, call her back next month. Madam, thank you very much for your purchase. Of course, you have to keep it conversational, but the goal is trying to find out, is she happy with the purchase? Was she able to achieve what it is that she wanted from it? Is there anything that she wishes you could have done better? If she bought it because she wants to use it to be frying chicken in mass for her customers, you need to know, did it give the chicken a nice golden brown crisp? Because if it fried the chicken well, but it made it a darkish brown, because all these things are important. If you're selling food at all these eateries, how the food looks when you're done with it. Like some people, you fry the meat with dirty oil and then the meat comes looking somehow. Not that the meat is bad, it's just that the oil that you used to fry it was dirty. So you need to have those conversations. Was she happy with the oil? Did it give that look that she wanted? What does she think you could have done better? The woman is going to talk. Whatever she says, write all those things down. You are now, the information you get is going to serve two things. Number one, it's going to help you to figure out who your ideal customer profile is. From the things people say, you will now know that, okay, this woman, this is my ideal customer. This is the person I should be talking to. These are the people that I should be chasing. And then number two, it's also going to let you know the use case scenarios of your product. That is where your product works well and where your product fails. So that in the sales process, it's something that you'll be able to bring up. That the people who use my oil or the people who use my product or my service, they get the best results when they do 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. It's going to make it easier for you to sell your products or your services. If you do this whole thing of competitors coming and taking away your customers, that problem is going to reduce, because from the conversations that you're having, you're getting data about who you should be targeting and the results that people are trying to achieve. Even when somebody steals your customer, maybe because of price or whatever, you'll find that they come back because you're the one who understands them and you're the one who can solve the problems that they are facing. Oh, sorry, Chima Obi. I don't know if Chima Obi responded. Let me see. Okay, he didn't respond, so we still don't know what line of business that Chima Obi is in. But yeah, so that's it. Before you start doing new strategies, please figure out what is working now and then scale that. We can worry about strategy later. In the early days, it's all about scale. Then number two, there will always be competition. But after every sale, let's have a conversation with our customers. Are you happy? Were you able to achieve what you wanted with my product or my service? What do you think I could have done better to make you happy? Whatever they say, write it down. Take that data, put it back into your business. You're going to get stronger. So if you get nothing else out of this session today, you people are going to achieve good business growth just from implementing this. But for this to work, please remember, I said, put it down in your calendar or your diary or whatever. There's something called a CRM, Customer Relationship Management Tool. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can use Post-it notes. You can use your phone. You can use your diary. You can use your child's primary school book, provided it's the one that they're not using. But a place where you can write something down to refer to again at a future date. This doesn't work if you're going to freestyle. If you want to cram in your head that, okay, I'll call her back in 2 weeks' time, you're going to forget. So write it down, put it on your phone, put it on your tablet, put it on your whatever. So, Light, do you think we should take another audio question? Or
Okay,
well,
I think there's a question on the chat box. I think we should take that first, and then we'll take the last audio question.
okay, all right. So the question on sales location and barriers. Sorry about that. You actually asked the first question, Madam Joy. So sorry I didn't get to that. Okay. Now you remember what I said about well, first of all, you have to be much more specific, Madam Joy Andrew eBay. Please just send more details. Which location are you in? What do you sell? And why do you think that the location is a problem? Now we're talking about, first we're talking about prospecting. Who might be interested in my product or my service? Where are they? How can I get to them to start up a conversation? That's a really, really important conversation. So if you are in a location that your potential customers are not, then you might have to move or you might have to look for a different business idea. Let me give one example. There are some people now who are trying to sell, what's this thing? These people, vegetarians, people that don't like meat. So there are all kinds of meat substitutes and things like that that are coming into the market. Now, I hear that for people based in Lagos, that those people are making a killing, selling meat, or selling tofu, selling meat alternatives, selling things like that. But I've heard that in Abuja, that kind of thing doesn't seem to move. Like Abuja people don't seem to care about vegetarian lifestyle or whatever. So if it's looking like vegetarian eating or alternative diets and things like that, if it looks like it's mostly a Lagos thing, then find ways. If you're based in Abuja, find ways to sell in Lagos or move to Lagos or look for a different idea altogether, because that prospecting bit is really important. If you can't get to where they are physically or online or offline, then okay. Oh, you do cakes and pastries. Okay, Joy Andribe, she does cakes and pastries. She's in Alimosho, and her customers are in other local government areas of Lagos. Okay, all right. Now, with the little that we've seen so far, I don't really think I don't really think location is a problem per se. I think the problem is that your prices don't seem to justify running around from Alimosho to other places. So it's actually something that you have to factor into the cost of your product. I know it seems scary to raise prices, but if you've done a good job in the first stage, the first three, prospecting, qualification, and discovery, you're talking to the right people, you know what kind of cakes they like, you know what kind of problems that they solve with their cakes. In fact, that's okay. Speaking of problems that people solve with the cake, let me give you a personal experience. When I was getting married, the lady that did my cakes, she's really big now, but by the time I met her like 11, 12 years ago, she was just starting out. Now, her cakes are really beautiful to behold. The taste is average, but her cakes are really, really, I don't know if the taste has improved, but her cakes are really beautiful to behold. She does cake, she does sugar, icing. Basically, she makes cakes that are like sculptures. She can carve different kinds of things out of, sorry, I don't know what the things are called. So, but Madam Joy, you know better whether it is sugar, icing, or fondant, or all these things. Knows how to do all that effigy. Now, if you're that kind of cake person, then perhaps the problem that you solve is that you create stunning cakes. You create visual masterpieces. So people that are buying your cakes may not be buying it necessarily for the taste. Okay, somebody has corrected me. That sugar craft. Yeah, sugar craft. So sugar craft on point. That was our thing. Rose petals on the cake, even though the cake is hanging upside down and the cake is not dropping. Like, I don't know how people do that thing, but it's really wonderful if you haven't seen those kinds of things. So rose petals, swan, all kinds of things. Yes, fondant and sugar craft. So if you're that kind of person, then the problem that you solve is that what you're doing is you're creating visual masterpieces. There are some people who don't care about visual masterpiece. What they want is, look, I want a 3-tier cake. I want the 3 tiers to be circles. I want the 3 tiers to be squares. And one must be yellow, one must be blue, one must be green. How much is it? The person doesn't want any spectacle. If you insist on building visual masterpieces, that is not your client, because the person doesn't care. The person just wants 3 circles on each other or 3 squares on each other. So even in the cake industry, these things matter. Oh, okay, good. You say that people buy because of taste, but they don't want to pay for delivery. Okay, yeah. I figured that is actually the problem. If they don't want to pay for delivery, there are different things you can do. Number one, some people collapse the price into the delivery thing. So they don't say that for a box of 6, it is 1.5, and then delivery is 800 naira. Okay, no, I'm not good at math. Let me just say 1.5 and then 1,000. Delivery is 1,000. They'll say, the cake, I'm paying 1,005. Why delivery? Why will I pay 1K? Some people solve that problem by just collapsing it together, and they say a box of 6, 2.5. If the person is buying within Alimosho, it means your profit is high. If the person is buying in a different part of Lagos, the profit margin might be a little lower. But the thing is, you have factored that into the pricing conversation in the beginning. So that's one way out of it. Just factor it. And then number 2, some people just look for a new customer segment that might be more profitable. So if the taste people are not paying good money, there are different ways of looking for new customer segments, but summary, those are 2 basic approaches. Collapse the price into one so that the price is hidden. They're not trying to juggle too many things. So like a wedding photographer, as a wedding photographer, later on, that was the approach that I adopted. At first, I used to say it costs this, but to deliver it to you in Lagos, back then it was 6.5 for DHL to send to Lagos, from Abuja to Lagos. But to send it to you in Lagos, 6.5. After a while, I just stopped having that 6.5 conversation. I just built it in and just assumed that I was always going to deliver to a different city. And I knew that Lagos was 6.5. I think Kano was 7,000 something. I just factored the price in. So it didn't matter. At the end of the wedding, the person said, okay, I'm done, but we're going back to Benue State. Benue State is where we're based. No problem. I've already put in the delivery charge. So I didn't have to have a separate pricing conversation. There are people in the chat who are asking for attendance. So, so Light, please, or whoever it
Okay,
is that has the
yeah, the
attendance form.
attendance has been shared with on the group. So if you're yet filling the attendance form, please do so quickly. We are going to be taking one last question. I hope Amina is still here. Hi Amina.
Yes, I'm here.
Please go ahead with
Yeah,
your
good morning.
question.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Sayaji. I really appreciate. Well, yeah, today is my birthday.
Oh, congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm into fabric. My name is Amina Bango Falabi. CEO of Zia Fabric Samo. I've been into fabric for like 3+ years, and I've seen some shortcomings and things that should be seen, which I'll also see in the future. But there is advantages and advantages in everything we do. But presently, I'm like skeptical about. I do B2C and I do B2B, but most of the time I do B2C. My products are always tied down for a while. But doing B2B, it's more like the profit is lesser, but the it goes very fast. I have issue with that because at times most customers I get is B2C, which always tied my fabrics down for a while because the profit on it is always on a high margin. But I'm trying to get the how do I keep like get a bulk buyer product?
Getting bulk buyers. Okay, bulk buyers for business to business or business to consumer.
Hello, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Madam Amina, sorry, I didn't get, you want more bulk business, but is it for your B2C buyers or your B2B buyers that you want
B2B.
bulk purchases?
B2B. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right. So is that the only question that you have? Okay, well, the audio has gone off, so I'm assuming that that's the only question that she has. Oh, okay, the people that are saying thank you, yeah, I see you and acknowledge Amolika, Kazel, thank you very much. Oh, and then Madam Amina, there are people also shouting you out in the chat, and people who are sending their prayer for you. They're praying for prosperity. Okay, all right. So now to answer the question. So for those of you who didn't get it, she sells fabrics, and she says that she has two segments that she's looking at. There's B2C and then there's B2B. This is what it means. B2C means business to consumer. That's basically retail. So let's say now I sell water bottles. B2C is I'm selling it directly one-on-one to people. Maybe I'm selling it to other mothers or other fathers who are members of the PTA, so they can buy for their children. That is business to consumer. Then there's B2B, that's business to business. That is maybe I'm selling these bottles, but instead I'm selling it to maybe Zenith Bank so that they can buy it maybe 300 copies and brand it and give to their staff and give to their loyal customers. So that is the difference between B2B and B2C. For B2C, consumer, you're selling units, one, or maybe two, or three, individual people. But then B2B, you are selling to businesses, they usually buy in scale. Those of you who sell, what do you call these things? I can't remember. All these things are used as gift items, like the bottle that I just showed you, or even this pen, souvenirs. You people are used to that kind of thing. So if you sell individually to people, it's going to be single. But if you're able to sell to Zenith Bank and they buy 1,000 copies, the profit might be small on each, but because they bought 1,000 copies from you, it's good money. So that's the difference. So her question essentially is, business to consumers, when she said that she sells to people individually, that the profit is good, but that it ties it down. What I suspected was that she's extending credit to these people. So that's a question that you have to ask yourself. So, Mr. Amina, please, if my assumption is wrong, let me know. When it comes to credit conversations, well, like when I was speaking to the lady who sells processed groundnut products in Lekki, all these questions around credit, payment terms, they are mostly accounting, mostly financing, mostly cash flow questions. These are questions that the best answer depends on how much you actually need to keep this business going every single month. So the thing is, if your people are delaying, and on average, each person is delaying by 1 week or 2 weeks before they pay, but the number seems to work, the business seems to be doing okay, then I guess maybe there's no problem. But having much more stringent credit terms is not such a bad idea. It helps when people pay up and they pay up on times. So perhaps you should not be extending. You should be careful with your credit policies when dealing with other people. When we started off in the wedding space in Abuja and in Lagos, one way that wedding photographers used to cure for this was to make sure that they collected 70 or 80% of the money upfront, so that at the end, what they're chasing is, even if they don't collect the full amount, they'll manage somehow. So that might be something that you can try. So the profit margin is huge, but each fabric, let's say each fabric is 2.5. Okay, now I'm sure fabric has become more expensive. I haven't bought fabric in a long time. Actually, it's my wife who buys the fabric. I just wear whatever is available. So let's say the fabric is 2.5. Make sure that you collect 2K. As in, yeah, I'll send it to you, but you're going to deposit 2K in my bank account now. So later on, it's only just that 500 naira that you're chasing. Now, on B2B, she says the profit is much lower. So maybe if you're selling to Zenith Bank, instead of buying the Ankara fabric for 2.5, they want to price it to 2.2 or 2.1 or something, as is often the case. But then again, they're buying in bulk and they're paying immediately. It's a question that you have to ask yourself, which how do I put it? Which is easier to deal with, and which do you think is a better segment to pursue? There's no perfect answer because it all depends on you, what you're trying to build, and your tolerance for risk or stress or whatever. These are questions that you have to ask yourselves, because there are some people who will say, you know what, this B2B thing, the profit is lower, but the money comes quick and is good. And then they will focus on all that and they'll just ignore everybody else. I've been at a session where a lady who sells fabric, at the end of the day, that is what she decided. She was only going to spend her time with banks, corporations, NGOs, so that when she moves this Ankara, she's moving in bulk, 2,000 units, 3,000 units. So week to week, she might not be selling much, but that one job that she gets in the month and she sells in thousands of units, she's making good money. It's a question that you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, which you think you'd be much more comfortable pursuing. Then you wanted to know how to get people to buy in bulk on the business to business end. So in other words, how to get more of Zenith Bank buying your wrappers, or maybe Christian Mothers buying your wrappers, or Anambra Women's Association buying in thousands or whatever. So that goes all back now to the first part of the conversation that we had. And this is why I said these are the most important things. Ask around, do some research. People who buy in bulk, usually, who are they? And then you draw up a list. Then of course, you look at your past experience. If in your past experience, you find out that your chief buyers were Zenith Bank, Keystone Bank, then maybe it might be a good idea to actually try and chase down more branches of Zenith Bank. So maybe Zenith Bank Ikeja, they bought 2,000 units from you, and Keystone Bank in Ikeja also bought a similar amount. Now you know that perhaps you can try Zenith Bank and Keystone Bank in Maryland, or in Ikoyi, or and that'll be part of the sales process. That your colleagues in Ikeja, I had a conversation with them. They're able to buy as part of their customer service plan, something. That's part of the thing that be able to walk into your proposal. But yeah, it goes back. It boils down. We have to go back and then start prospecting from the beginning and draw up a list. Oh, I forgot to mention, please, when you are prospecting, always have your pen and paper ready. Always have your keyboard ready. You should be writing all these things down because ideas escape your head. So this thing I said now about Zenith Bank, you write it down. Even if you do nothing with it, at least when you come back tomorrow, you sleep and then you wake up, or you discuss with your husband and your brother, you sleep and then you wake up, you come with a fresh set of eyes, you have more ideas. The list is there, you continue from there. So when it comes to prospecting, we're pulling up a list so that when we're ready, we've drawn up the list. These are the 5 banks that I'm going to approach. The 5 banks have 30 offices in Lagos. So these are the addresses. You now start putting the whole thing into action. So we start again. People that buy in bulk, where do they usually hang out? What plan can I have for going to go and meet them? So we just start the whole process all over again. Since you've already been selling fabrics and since you already have B2B buyers, I would say sit down and have a think. The B2B people that bought, who introduced me to them? How did I get to meet them? Who helped me to facilitate that deal? Then how can I scale that? People that introduce me, can I get them to introduce some more? The place where I met them, let me come up with a plan that instead of going there only once a month, maybe I should be going there 3, 4, 5 times a month. Let me see who else I can meet in that place. So that's the approach, basically.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tabashima. We've actually gone way beyond the scheduled time. So we'll definitely be ending this session now. Thank you so much for all of the insights that you shared. Thank you for all of the questions you've answered. This is the session we've had like the most questions coming and the most questions answered. Thank you so much for making our time for us. And also, please, if you're yet to fill in the attendance form, I'm going to be sharing it now. Please do that before you log out. And also, those that have been asking about our facilitators' social media handles or contact details, I'm going to be sharing that in the community after our session today. So you can go to him if you want any of his service offering. Of course, you can reach out to him on using the social media handles, which is going to be posted in the community. Thank you so much for making our time for us today, Mr. Tabashima. Thank you. And so,
okay,
this is the end.
Thing, please.
Okay.
Okay. I have a paid WhatsApp group where I answer questions like this every day. People who have questions relating to business in general or in sales, that's the whole point of the WhatsApp group. So if you're interested in that, I have put my phone number in the chat. So please, sorry about that. I have put my phone number in the chat. So you just reach out and we say I can maybe a member of the group. And then, of course, like Light said, she's going to be giving my contact details. So you reach out to me there. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. So yeah, so that's it pretty much. Oh, and then the summary. Today, I'm going to send one of my podcast episodes where I spoke about these 3 things, about prospecting, qualification, and discovery. That should be able to answer more of your questions in detail. So she's going to send it to you a few minutes after this we're done with this recording.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm trying to send the number, but it doesn't seem to be going.
I can actually send it on the group. That's the same contact I have, right?
Yes. Oh wait.
Okay, I'll share it with them. I'll share it with them on the community. Thank you so much for pointing out so much insight today. Also, please do not forget, we continue again tomorrow. We'll be having our session on data marketing tomorrow, same time. Again, all details will be shared with you on the community group. So please ensure to also schedule that. That's for tomorrow's session. And once again, if you're yet to fill in the attendance form, I'm going to be sharing that right now. Please ensure to fill in the attendance form before you log out of today's session. Thank you all so much once again for coming on board today. I know we actually went beyond the 12:30 scheduled time we actually were supposed to have, but thank you so much for still being here. Thank you. And so I'm just going to give an extra 5 minutes or 2 minutes actually, just so for those that are yet in the attendance form can quickly do that. Do we still have to take a picture? I actually want to know first, because I know everyone is actually, we've had 2 hours of training session today as against 1:30, 1 hour, 30 minutes. So please, I don't think a picture will be necessary. But by tomorrow, of course, I hope there won't be too many questions. But if there will be, actually, we'll try as much as possible to still keep to the time stated. Thank you so much, everyone. So good to have you today join us. And thank you to our facilitator for making our time for us as well. And please ensure, we're going to be sharing like a summary version of what we have today on the social media pages. So please ensure you also follow the SMEDAN Lagos page and also the Foundry pages, and also send in your comments as to what you learned today while tagging the facilitator and sending a note of appreciation to him as well. I'm going to be sharing his social media handles on the group also. Thank you all so much for coming on board once again. See you all tomorrow. Of course, we'll continue our engagements in the community. Bye for now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.